for doing this.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
All right. So first off, could you introduce yourself?
Sure.
Tell us what you do.
Great. So I'm Hakim. I'm the co-founder of Kök Projekt, and essentially I will be becoming also the general partner of Kök Ventures. So we focus on food, agriculture, water, and energy, essentially the climate transformation within the agri-food sector. We run accelerators, we focus on corporate innovation, and we're building our funds to invest in emerging markets, specifically the technologies that would accelerate the climate transformation.
So you cut across agri-food, the entire agri-food value chain.
To an extent, actually. So we focus on B2B upstream. We don't do much in B2C, but because we focus on really like specific issues within the corporate value chain and supporting the corporates in terms of transforming their overall operations into more sustainable and circular methodologies, and also better for the environment and for the world.
Okay. So how many organizations do you currently work with, and what kind of organizations are these?
So we work with, for example, one of the biggest, if not the biggest, food company of Turkey. We are running an accelerator with them. It's called Kök Accelerator Turkey. We focus on essentially the transformation within the fruit production value chain in terms of digitalization to make it more sustainable and integrating technologies in there. We're copying the same program model as a more multi-stakeholder multi-corporate stakeholder model to Budapest as well, where we also have an office. We focus on Central Eastern European region. So therefore, we are focusing mostly on corporates within the agri-food value chain who are focusing on production or energy or even finance sections. So we have quite a bit of a broad perspective, but our focus is quite clear in terms of B2B upstream.
Okay. I'm not sure I know exactly what that means. When you say B2B upstream,
Absolutely.
So that means that you're not working with producers, but rather between the producers and the consumers.
I'll give you a simple example. We stop when the carrots are out from the truck. So we start from the water, then to soil, seed, crop plant, and then basically production. So that comes in with energy and also finance, etc. And then manufacturing, processing, logistics, and then we stop. So until the retail, we look into all of those technologies. When it comes to the retail, as I mentioned, when the truck is offloaded to the retail point, we stop.
Okay, that is a really broad remit.
Kinda, yeah.
How do you decide where to go?
Absolutely. So basically, as I said, like our approach is really pilot first. So therefore, all of the partnerships that we do, it generally looks into the needs of the corporates. And most importantly, what are their strategic priorities and how we can help them achieve those priorities. So if it's the focus on, let's say, the input optimization, energy optimization, or having biotransformation within the fertilizers to crop health, or having essentially been able to track the production overall, or just watching from the satellite. So there's like really clear needs that we get as briefs as from our partners, and we look into the technologies that we can help connect with them and essentially help them transform their businesses. So our approach is quite straight on that one.
Okay, that means that you have like a network of technology providers.
100%.
Okay.
We have a network of, I would say, universities. We have a network of accelerators, like-minded us. We have a network of venture capital organizations. We have a network of corporates, most importantly, and also the governmental institutions. So we're quite, I would say, connected within the regions that we're actively working within. So therefore, we mobilize and utilize these connections to support the climate transformation.
Okay, so the climate transformation is not an easy overnight task.
100%, yeah.
So, and it requires a lot of multiple like actions to be done.
Right.
So what are some of the most important things that you're focusing on right now in terms of actually making an impact, a visible impact, because it's not always visible?
Yeah, 100%. I think, this is also a personal point, but like I'm really bullish on biotech. So I think it's a really crucial frontier as we are now changing the chemistry with biology. I love that example. And essentially I see it as more easy adaptable, because when we talk about agri-tech, sometimes it adds a bit more layer for the producers or the corporates to be able to utilize that technology. They need to put some technology into field, some platforms to do this and do that, etc., which is highly efficient, and overall it's really important as well. But when we talk about, let's say, bio-based fertilizers or crop health solutions, it's more easy adaptable. So therefore, it's quite important to be able to start where we can easily scale, because the time ticks, right? So the environmental issues and the climate change we're experiencing day by day, it's not going away. It doesn't allow us to pick and choose. We have to act and as a complete transformation of the agri-food value chain. So therefore, I'm personally quite interested in the biotech side, because I see there's like quite a first step. I mean, there's many steps, of course, but an important step to be able to utilize these technologies.
Yeah, but you said the shift to biofertilizers is slightly more doable. There's a more immediate action there. But with a lot of other tech, you also have to build up the infrastructure first. So how hard is it to decide where to start in that case?
Great question. So basically, it's about the need, right? So if we focus on, for example, the chemical impact to the soil, to the trees, to the product itself or the crops, we have to look into the bio-based solutions, right? So we see an immediate need. And if we need to track and make better decisions and utilize the inputs that we have to focus on the tech side. So it's really determining what actually is the actual need for the corporates, for the SMEs that we need to look into. For example, water is a critical issue, and it's becoming more and more important and upfront. So irrigation systems, water waste management, to water creations, well, creation is a big word, but basically desalination to be able to use it to the agriculture, or technologies that would use the salted water in agriculture. So water itself is quite crucial. And I see a lot of correlation with the bio-based side as well, because I'm seeing also bio-based solutions that are helping the soil to stay essentially more humid, keeping the water intact and more, rather than protecting for higher and extreme temperatures, or just protecting the crop. So these are actually in play. We don't need to separate them. We just need to figure out how we can do it all at once, essentially. Integrating the tech and the biotech inside of that tech, and then understanding how we should make a better plan of it.
Okay, and now you also mentioned that your fund is looking at emerging markets.
We do, yeah.
And what does that mean exactly?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So we look into two specific regions, I would say. Emerging Europe, which covers the Central Eastern European region. And we're looking into emerging Asia as well. But we're also looking into companies in Turkey, and also the other parts of the world that we're actively working in. We have also quite a bit of, I would say, exposure across the rest of the Europe as well. But with the fund, we're looking into the emerging Europe, because we see the transformation and also the regulations that are coming in with the EU side as well. So there's a momentum that we see quite a lot across the region. And we're looking into, supporting the companies who are accelerating that transformation, either within and abroad as well.
You mentioned the EU.
Yeah.
Deforestation regulation has been delayed again. CS-DDD is, it's on its way somewhere. So how much of all of this do you have to take in consideration when you're planning for the funding? And how do you disperse that? How do you decide where it goes?
No, 100%. I mean, we are currently doing our conversations in terms of the investors coming in. There's an allocation part that on our play in terms of determining which countries we see a lot of potential. And based on that, we're also tracking a lot of deals. So, of course, there's an allocation planning that we have on a geo basis. But in the meantime, we're tracking a lot of companies. So if we see, let's say, it's not originated in the market that we're specifically looking into, is there a way that we can connect them to a market? I'm replying this question quite broad, but this is an approach that we have within connecting emerging markets.
Right.
Because sometimes some of the deep tech that is needed now might not be able to crack the commercialization yet. And then there's another company that cracked the commercialization but lack the technology they would need.
Right.
And they don't have the funds to do the R&D.
Right.
So when we see it, because we see it through the perspective of emerged and emerging at the same time, due to our network and due to our partnerships. So what's the solution on that? Our strategy is to connect the both markets, and where we see it fits, specifically there's a deep tech that we can bring in, let's say from Japan, and we bring it to the markets that we're actively in through joint ventures, through partnerships and similar. With this way, we provide the commercialization and also, most importantly, field integration.
Right. Does that mean that you have to kind of tweak tech for every market because every country, every region has different needs?
I mean, essentially yes and no, because some of the needs are pretty specific, right? When you think about it, like, the crop health solutions or changing the fertilizer, updating the fertilizers that is more controlled in terms of, release on the field, or wild irrigation methodologies, how we can leave it, on our back so that we can have controlled irrigation systems that can be integrated in the field. These are crucial topics, and these are so crucial that would, for us, if we crack it, if we solve it, the next generations will be able to feed themselves. That's how important it is. So the idea for us is that we connect the existing technologies and the local ones on that note, as I was mentioning, with the deep tech side, and then accelerate that transformation, because otherwise we don't have time to spend, essentially, as global.
Yeah. So what are some of the major areas that your fund focuses on currently?
So we're looking into a biotech a lot, as I mentioned, quite a lot. That is a really crucial part for us. Another part is that, as I mentioned, the systems that help farmers and producers, and of course the corporates to decide. So farm management systems to satellite systems. We're also looking into hardware in terms of sensors and drones that can be integrated into the field, essentially decreasing the food loss in the field. That's something that we're looking at as a main topic. But drones also have that impact into that field in terms of reducing the food loss. So we're looking at a broad perspective in that manner. But essentially, again, irrigation systems, we see that a lot, either through satellite tracking, like monitoring systems, or from the soil sensors. So essentially, we have to understand how the water is dispersed into the field and how we can make it more optimized so that we don't waste water as well. That comes in with extra, the uncontrolled spraying of either fertilizers or crop health solutions. And we need to figure out a way that, essentially supporting the farmers to make better decisions, but at the same time providing better bio-based solutions that would be integrated in the field that would also heal the soil, either create its own ecosystem through the plant, or either just supporting the soil into more regenerative methodology. So these are absolutely crucial. These are the stuff that we're looking at.
Right. So how do you, let's see. So with the farmers, do you get buy-in from the farmers fairly easily, or is it always a bit of a challenge?
So I think, as we are focusing on the other side of the spectrum, so we are, as I mentioned, the accelerator and the venture capital side. So it's not really our side to manage that relationship with the farmers. However, it's really crucial for the startups to do that. They have to have a close relationship, and we're looking on the startups that are, as I mentioned, has solutions that is already in the field, already applying, have good relationship in terms of the production value chain. They need to have a real answer from the field so that they can solve the real problems in the field. And we're looking in the founders that are connected with the sector and have the expertise in the sector as well. And that's one of the crucial reasons why that we are doing what we do. We want to support that transformation.
Right. A lot of these are long-term solutions.
Oh yeah, of course.
And so how does the return on investment work?
Oh yeah, of course. So essentially, as I mentioned, we're looking at companies that are already matured. So essentially, we're looking at companies who already have products and services that can be implemented and piloted in the field. That is a really crucial criteria for us. So the deep tech, essentially, that is being already researched and have an IP is a really crucial part for us. If it's lacking the commercialization, that's fine, we can look into it, but they has to have some sort of like a product and a service that should be able to work on it. So that's the criteria that we're looking at. And same case for the fund side, as we're planning to do a relatively mid-level portfolio, so not massive. So being able to support the companies that we invest, essentially to be able to scale across the region, potentially globally, which is one of the cases that we are looking into.
Well, sustainability is a really big, complicated issue.
Yes.
And it sounds like one of the perhaps most effective ways to deal with this. I mean, we talk about it in from a consumer perspective as a claim on a pack of food or whatever, but it actually needs to kind of be built into the system.
Yeah, sure.
And how do you see that working? Because everything kind of has to happen at the same time.
I mean, that's the thing, right? I mean, if I address your question, we've been in a car that is going 300 kilometers per hour directly to a wall for a good long time. And for the last 20 years or so, we realized this car needs to be slowed down and then stopped and then go to the other way. And for the last 10 years, we realized, okay, we can actually do that investing in these agri-food technologies. For the last 5 years, there was a lot of focus on, certain topics that needed to see it as like these are the solvers. However, we're approaching in a different manner. Now agriculture is becoming more and more important topic. So the next 5 years, I believe, is quite crucial. We do have time in terms of taking lessons that we've done so far, and this is quite important. We have to go into the next steps in terms of looking into the correct technologies that can easily scale and rapidly change and accelerate the existing in the field. So because of that, the sustainability, as you said, it's an overall planning. It's all at once, and to be able to do that, we need to figure out also the ways that working these technologies together. So if it's a spraying technology that's controlling the fertilizers, can we add a bio-based fertilizers inside? And can we add also a satellite system to control that orchard or the field to be able to track what kind of fertilizers and how much we're actually adding in? And what's the situation in the humidity of the soil? Can we track that on up there? What is the needed, we should fix in terms of irrigation, etc.? This requires an overall planning. It's not just about adding one thing into the field. And that's the reason why we are approaching in a broad manner, as you mentioned, but we stop right at the retail. Right. Because there's so much stuff to do, we have to do on that prior front, and we focus on it.
Okay. How much of AI gets implemented in this?
I mean, it's important. No. I'm a big believer in AI in agriculture, 100%. I mean, when we talk about like soil reporting, and we have a company on our batch currently in the accelerator in Turkey, the planning, production planning, or projection, or price determination, these are quite important. And AI comes in play with the digital twin methodologies comes in play. And if we add the layer of potential Gen AI inclusion to this picture, we have actually quite rapid decision-making system through the corporate level, but also in the SME level. This is really crucial. Specifically in the emerging markets, the majority of the agriculture are done by the SMEs. And that's one of the main reasons why the technologies need to be trickled down and being accessible in the field. AI can play a quite crucial role in there. So that's why I'm a big believer on that. Being able to make these technologies more accessible in the field and trying to figure out what would be the perfect planning for that product while having the data from regarding the climate and ever-changing microclimate environments as well. We have to work with the climate, but sometimes climate, because of the stuff that we've done for hundreds and hundreds of years, working against us as well. So the food is quite interesting on that. I'll finish that with that note. But the food sector, the agri-food ecosystem, essentially affects and impacts by the climate change. This is quite rare. So being able to understand this means we need to figure out holistic approach to change it. So that's why we need all of these technologies.
Okay, one final question. What are some of the emerging technologies that you're really interested in right now?
I'm really sorry. I keep repeating myself, but I love biotech.
Other than biotech, we're not going to talk about
AI, as we discussed, I love it. Especially Gen AI in agriculture conversation, I think is just fantastic because it makes agriculture more accessible and easier and essentially conversational. And that would open up the more, I would say, opportunities for younger farmers, specifically in the emerging markets, to be able to, become producers if they're interested to doing so, or develop agri-food businesses. I think that was also a crucial missing link because that has been part of the conversation as aging farmers in the world, how we can integrate young farmers. I think Gen AI could play a crucial role in that to make it more accessible, understandable, and also having the correct decisions to be able to produce the food that we have and into the basically becoming entrepreneurs of agriculture and then potentially becoming really successful. So I think that might have been spark that we've been waiting for the last 100 years. That's why I'm quite bullish on that.
Sounds good.
I appreciate all the questions.
Thank you.